It's my feel-good breakfast show.
A very warm welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso on SABC3. And in case you didn't know yet, today, the 16th of December, is Reconciliation Day in South Africa. It was first celebrated as an official public holiday in 1995 and pays tribute to two historical events that took place on the same date. The first being in 1838, when the Battle of Blood River took place between the Voortrekkers and the Zulus. And the second event was the forming of Umkhonto weSizwe, the military wing of the African National Congress that was formed in 1961. Now, joining us in studio to talk about South Africa's progress is Dean Michael Weeder from St. George's Cathedral. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Does it also count as a public holiday for you? Do you get time off?
Bits and pieces of it, yeah.
When you can. Now, we all know the term the Rainbow Nation that was coined by Archbishop Desmond Tutu to describe, the ideal new South Africa that we all would have wanted to have. Now, in your own opinion, since 1994, how far do you think South Africa has come?
I think the term Rainbow Nation, we need to place it within its context. When Archbishop Desmond Tutu at that time was using the term, and when he coined it, it was to remind us of the way we can overcome our differences by emphasizing the unity of our diversity. So he would extract from his own experience the example of Beyers Naudé, Helen Joseph, and other persons who were not part of the oppressed majority, and how they made common cause. And so the Rainbow Nation then becomes something of our elusive hope, but also about the possibility in which we were resisting and fighting apartheid.
Yeah. And how far do you think we've come on that journey to reaching that elusive hope?
I think we've come a substantial way because we tend to look at our achievements by the immediacy of where we are now. And the rainbow is a symbol. It's a symbol of intent. It's a symbol of hope. And it's a sign of how far we still need to travel on the journey. But in terms of the practicalities, we have a considerable distance. And we need to measure where we are by where we've been. And if we are reminded by the words of Chris Hani, the late Chris Hani, he would say the measurement of the new South Africa will be determined by how far the poor has traveled to the center from the periphery. And I think the periphery today has become a lot more densely populated by those who are increasingly marginalized and vulnerable, women and children, and the poorest of the poor, where informal settlements become an elegant way for hell on earth.
And indeed, I think these are sentiments that are echoed by a large majority of the public, where a annual reconciliation barometer published by the Institute of Justice and Reconciliation says that the majority of South Africans feel that racial matters are either have stayed the same or they've actually deteriorated since the dawn of the democratic era in 1994. What do you think is keeping us from moving forward at least the pace that we all want to have?
I think if we're going to look at the reconciliation personified in the sentiments and the views expressed by Archbishop Desmond, we emphasize the kind of cuddly aspect of reconciliation, the need for us to stand together, for the need for us to find common cause about that which deprives many people. Then we forget that it's the same Desmond Tutu who reminded us of a wealth tax and the issues of disempowerment, the lack of access to land, the complexity of the anti-poor program of what we're experiencing both within our organized state but also within organized capital. And until we address those fundamentals, the issues of land, the issues of work for all, the way the poor are increasingly experiencing hopelessness, unless we address those fundamentals, we will be preoccupied by focusing on Mr. President Jacob Zuma as the personification of corruption and not as someone who's part of a greater complex that militates against the greater well-being of our country.
Yeah. Well, Dean Michael, thank you very much for joining us this morning and sharing your views. And happy Reconciliation Day to you.
Thank you very much.
I hope you get to enjoy the day. Well, there we are. I think a time for us to all reflect as a country on exactly the thoughts that Dean Michael has shared with us and how we can all move forward in building the ideal of this rainbow nation that we pursue. All right, now let's catch up with the early morning headlines with Leigh-Anne.